Hello, today we're going to be learning about one of the types of writing. We're going to be focused on narratives, specifically personal narratives. Let's get started. Now, what is a personal narrative? A personal narrative is a true story about your life. That means if you wrote a story about anything that actually happened in your life, that would be a personal narrative. For example, say I wrote about a time I moved and changed schools. That would be a personal narrative. Or if I wrote about the time I got my dog Baloo, that would also be a personal narrative. As long as it is a true story that actually happened to you, it qualifies as a personal narrative. Now, what is in a personal narrative? A personal narrative is a story, so it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A personal narrative is generally a small moment. For example, instead of writing about a whole week-long vacation I took to Hawaii, I'd write about just a small moment from that vacation, like when I dove with the sharks. A personal narrative also has a setting, so where the story takes place. To help the reader know where they are, you need to describe the setting. Something in 4th grade that we really work hard on is details. You want to add a lot of details so that the reader can visualize where they are and so that they can understand your personal narrative. Let's go through 2 examples of personal narratives to see how adding details can help. Keep in mind that the 2 personal narratives are just snippets of 2 bigger stories, so they're not necessarily whole personal narratives. These 2 examples don't have a beginning, a middle, and an end, or necessarily a setting. We are using these 2 examples to simply focus on details. Here is the first example. I woke up and ate breakfast. Next, my mom took me to school. My teacher had changed the seating chart. Now I sit by my friend. After school, I went home and did homework. Here is the second example. Today, I went to school and found out that I'm now sitting by my friend Josh. We were able to work together on a math assignment. After school, my mom said that Josh and I could hang out once all my homework was done. Which of the following examples are more interesting? Example 1 or example 2? To me, there's one that's kind of boring and one that's more interesting. To me, number 2 is more interesting because it has better details. Why is number 2 better though? What did it do that number 1 didn't do? One thing is that it gave specific details. The first one only says friend, whereas the second gives the friend a name, Josh. It also says something they did together after they were seated together. The topic for our first personal narrative is to write about a time that you tried something new. This could be a new food, a new place, a new sport, anything that you did that was new. I encourage you to pick a time that you remember and that would be easy to write a story about. We are not going to write the entire personal narrative today. Today, we are going to focus on brainstorming. You should have a personal narrative brainstorming graphic organizer available to you. This is attached in the description of the video. If you do not want to print it out, make a copy of it to edit. The first thing you should fill out on the graphic organizer is the topic. The topic is a time that you tried something new. If you need to rewind the video to get the word for word and write it down, feel free to do so. Now, the graphic organizer has 4 spots for ideas where the directions at the top says, I can brainstorm 3 narrative ideas. You only need to have 3 ideas. The 4th box is for you to come up with another idea if you have another idea. Write down at least 3 ideas on your brainstorming sheet. As you come up with ideas, keep these things in mind. Would this be an interesting story? Would I be able to have lots of details in the story? And is it a small moment? Remember, for this video and for this activity, we are just brainstorming right now. Do not begin writing just yet. Once you have brainstormed, feel free to put this paper or save the document online so that you can go back to it for the next lesson.